What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today we're going to talk about the brutality of prison. How business gets taken care of. How business is handled. Now, I always try to make it clear what I talk about is based off of my life experiences, my interactions, right? And I can't, when I speak of something, I'm not speaking, for how another faction or group does their things. I only know who I ran around with, how things were done, okay? So, prison hits. Someone getting whacked in prison. First of all, I want to make it clear, it isn't something that occurs on a daily basis. I know a lot of people have their information from Hollywood. And then more unfortunately, there are those who have a homeboy of theirs get out parole and they don't know that their homeboy paroled from a level 1 or a level 2 where there was probably no stabbings. And they go on these fisherman's tales of all the hits they saw and all the stuff they did. And it's not based on reality. And so there are people who believe there's a lot of hits going down all the time. And I'm here to tell you, first thing first, any yard where a lot of hits are going down is probably a trash yard or a 50-50 yard. Okay, because if you are on a solid yard, then the trash is already gone. And so the majority of the hits that you're going to see done are going to be over dope or over politics, right? If somebody comes and they got bad paperwork, they're going to get hit. But if you're in a place like I've heard, it was probably Wes Watson, somebody talking about hits happening all the time. And I was like, well, then you were in a junkyard then. You were not in a spot that was solid and established. Now, what happens is, there will be, an incident will happen, right? Something will come up and it could be political. Word comes down. Well, now everybody's on the yard, but it could be something political where a decision is made where that vato, as solid as he is, he lost this battle. Whoever he was beefing with, his side lost. And they say he's got to go, right? So what happens is you want to first, at least me, right? I want to know, if I don't know him, I'm going to ask some people. It's already done. It's already etched in stone that he's got to go. It doesn't matter if I take 2 or 3 days, 4 days to get it all lined up, to do it right. He doesn't know. He's walking around like it's fine, like everything's cool. Exactly like he's supposed to. Because nobody knows but me and whoever else is involved in getting the word, like, hey, so-and-so, that's it, he's done. Okay, we'll take care of it. So if I know the dude's history and I know his capabilities as far as defending himself, his physical abilities, his history of violence, I'm gonna send, or the right hitters will be put on him based on his physical abilities and his history of violence. Usually, it depends. If it's something where word didn't come down, like hey, I didn't want to get into it. I think you understand what I'm saying. Then you would pair up someone who's already done work with someone who hasn't done work. Because the last thing you want to do is send 2 shooters who've never done anything after a guy who has. Because he's going to see when it goes down, he's going to see who's on him. And he could, based, if he knows, like, damn, they sent some real ones on me. Not that the other ones aren't, but the word I should use a better word. They sent some soldados, is what the guy would think. Then he's going to know these guys know what to do. They know where to hit you and how to hit you. And 9 times out of 10, when guys are seasoned and they move on somebody, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're John Jones, Chuck Liddell, whoever you think of. You send 2 dudes who know what they're doing on somebody, they're going to get the job done. You send 2 dudes who don't know what they're doing, the job will probably get done, but there's a chance that one of them gets hurt in the process. Get some holes put him in him in the process. See, when dudes are doing whatever they do on the yard, they know what they're doing. And so you might have a dude that knows he's doing some stuff, or he's caught up in some stuff. He's caught up in a war with somebody else within his own group. And he knows, shit, there's a good chance it's not going to go his way. He might have a piece on him at all times, out. And when somebody moves on him, he's swinging with his. So, again, once I know, or once people know, like, okay, this is that dude's background, homie, this Vato's not going to run. Some dudes run. And it's determined, okay, not only is this Vato not going to run, but he stays strapped. Or not only is this Vato not going to run, but this Vato's going to put up a fight, homie. Then we know, okay, let's get some Vatos that know what they're doing. And there's always those guys on the yard that are willing, able, and eager to spill blood. You know who they are. Most of the time, they'll go to whoever's in charge of the yard and they'll say, hey, homie, look, I'm so-and-so. I just got here, but, I don't even trip on being on the yard, homes. Like, I'm more comfortable in the oil. So anything needs to be done, homes, and it's legit, just let me know. And what I mean when I say if it's legit, there's dudes that they got to get hit, and they're not anybody on the yard. They're basically, we used to say, like, ain't worth no points. And then there's other guys on the yard who you hit them, you hit that individual, everybody's gonna know, like, hey, homeboy hit that Vato. Like, oh, serio? And you get some recognition. Like, he did a hell of a job on that guy, or he took that guy out, or whatever it is, right? So that's what I meant by that. Now, so when you have a guy that is a bona fide hitter, enjoys hitting dudes, you know who those guys are. And if this is one of those incidents where one of those guys is needed, cool. Then a lot of times there might be a homie on the yard who he's bringing heat to his tier. He's bringing heat to his section or his building. He's been spoken to. Well, let's go ahead and send him, get the heat off the building. And that's being kind. He may have brought some heat and he got spoken to and he fixed it. But he's still on your mind. Like, you know what, Holmes, that Vato needs to go sit down for a little while. Go to the oil and learn some manners. Learn how to do his time. So you would pair him up with the seasoned guy, the guy that loves doing hits. So in this scenario, let's just say that's who we picked, right? And so before even approaching these dudes, we got to figure, are they in the same building with this dude? Are they going to get released at the yard at the same time? There's a lot of planning that goes into that, right? So let's say these guys are all in the same building. It's a perfect match, right? So then we approach them. Hey, homie, can I holler at you? And you know, times have changed. You know, all the big dogs are on the yard now, so things are different now. But before, when you had, for an example, we'll just go by the mesa system, right? When you had the meseros out there, the guy is running the yard, and you see them huddle up, and all of them are huddling up. I remember when dudes used to be like, ah, fuck, we're going on lockdown. Why? Look over there. All of them are there. And vatos are looking like, oh yeah, we're going lockdown. Let me go try to hustle up some canteen or something. Right? So they know. And so if those guys pull you over, like, hey homie, can I holler at you? They're hollering at you for a reason, because they're not really trying to have small talk. They got so much on their mind, so much on their plate, and so many schemes and plots and plans that they got going on all the time. They call you over, it's for a reason, right? So you're like, yeah, what's up, Holmes? Just spin a lap, okay? And then they'll ask you, like, so for the seasoned guy, they'll be like, hey homie, when you got here, you said you were interested in doing some work. And he'll be like, yeah, homie, you got one for me or what? Yeah. Orale, just let me know. Okay. And we'll tell him, like, look, Holmes, come out tomorrow and we'll have everything out here for you. We'll send something while you're in your cell. You already know what time it is. We don't have to explain much, and I'm not going to explain a lot here. Right? Now, the other guy that was bringing heat, now that's a different conversation. That's, you call that guy, hey homie, you want to spin a lap? This guy's gonna be like, shit, yeah. Be like, look homie, just want to ask you a question real quick. We need a favor around here, homie, and wondering if you could help us out. This guy's gonna remember the conversation that happened a month prior or whatever it was. Like, all right, these vatos are gonna send me for that. He also knows. Now, let's make this clear. Everybody has a choice. You know, I hear all the time, Wes Watson is one of the ones, you don't have a choice in the joint. There's always a choice. There's always a choice. We could have this discussion with this individual and ask him if he's willing to do the hotline, and he's going to say yes. And then when the conversation's over, he could, you know, walk the track and go take off on a cop, go take off on somebody, or just go to the program office and say that he can't be there anymore. So there's those options for those guys, right? But in this scenario, the vato's going to know, orale, it's over that shit. He may even ask, hey, Holmes, is it because of that time? Be like, you know, and some vatos might say, yeah, homie, you know, maybe it's just time for you to go to the back and just get a better understanding on how it is to do time. Or they might be like, nah, Holmes, we ain't even tripping on that. We're just wanting to know, are you willing to help us out or not? And then he's going to say yes. He may say no. He may say yes, that is a no. But in his situation, because of the he brought on, he's not going to say no. And he's not going to try. Because there's yeses that mean no, where you have guys that just got out of the shoe back then when the shoe was still in effect. And you ask them if they're going to do a hotline, and you could tell them, like, and I had this situation happen to me in the Bay, where they were like, hey, Holmes, you know, this vato here, you know, I had just got out of the shoe. They were like, hey, you got access to this vato, this and this and that. And I said, well, I'll blast him. Yeah, I'll hit him. Ain't nothing to that. But you know, I just got here, right? And vatos in the back, when I get back to the zapato, they're going to want to know, like, hey, Holmes, there wasn't another vato that could have done that? And then they turn around and like, hey, well, look, we're just asking, you know, because you got access. But you know what? We've got other vatos. We just want to see what you're going to say. It turns into one of those conversations. and you play along, like inside you're laughing, and you wait till they walk away, and then you laugh, and then you tell your camaradas, who the fuck are these vatos, eh? You know what this motherfucker just asked me? But in this situation now, you got both hitters on board. There will be some things that happen prior to them leaving their cell for yard on the day of the hit. We won't go into that. But on the day of the hit, they're going to show up. They're going to be out there on the yard, ready. We are going to make sure to get them the pieces that they need. I was never in a situation where we asked them to do the work and to bring the pieces out, because we don't want them getting caught up. You get an overzealous cop, a new cop, is going to pat you down extra well, or maybe he has the wand that day, and he wands you, and there we go. Now we got to start from scratch, get another crew together, right? So they come out. We'll let them know, like, look, Holmes, this is who got to go. We'll get you the things right now. The homie so-and-so is going to come up to you, or we'll be like, hey, you see this? And there'll be a specific item somewhere on the yard. You see that over there? Yeah. They're both under that. And then, okay, Holmes, gracias. And so the hitters will go. They'll make their way over there. They'll get their things, their weapons. And then it's up to them. They discuss it amongst each other, like, okay, Holmes, you want to go get this vato right now? You want to wait till yard recall? What do you want to do? You want to let him work out and get his heart rate up? Because it depends on what they were asked to do to the person. Same thing with the weapons. The weapons could be some ice picks. Then again, it could be something where this vato isn't supposed to get back up. They're going to be flats. Flats are flat pieces of metal. They could be this wide. This thing depends on where you're at and who made the piece and what they're working with at the time and how serious this thing is. And the guy may or may not have an inkling that, he's under the microscope. When the hitters move on him, sometimes the gunners see it right off the bat. Other times they don't. And it may go a good 30 seconds to a minute before they yell, yard down. They yell, yard down. Everybody on that yard is going to look around and locate where the incident is. Once they spot the incident and they see their people aren't involved, they're going to sit on their ass facing the incident, watching it. The hitters are going to be doing their thing. The gunner may start shooting, may shoot the block gun, may shoot the mini. They may shoot the mini. It's no longer in your hands, right? They used to have 9mm in the building. They took them all out. Everywhere is the Mini 14, at least in California, right? And what you're witnessing, what everybody is witnessing on that yard, is a struggle between life and death. Even for the guys doing the sticking. Because like I said, the cop could see the weapon and decide he's going to hit somebody in the chest, the head, with that Mini 14. That .223 round. And it's going to do some serious damage. In this scenario, I didn't give a proper scenario on what this was. It could have been a dope debt. It could have been you lost your argument in a political affair, we'll call it. But when they go, when the hammer comes down, when the decision is made, you will see and you will hear the sounds of utter brutality. You will watch somebody trying to fend off two dudes and fight for his life. You will see two dudes trying to take that life. You will hear the sounds of the strikes on the body, the defensive strikes. You'll see the torn clothing, the blood. You may hear some words exchanged during this whole thing. You'll hear down on the yard, the cops screaming it over the PA system. You will see officers running from every direction to go try to break it up. You will see medical personnel running across the yard with that red bag. It is an ugly, ugly sight. And not one person on that yard will bat an eye. They'll look and they'll see it. And you know what they say? Better him than me. That's the reality. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.